Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video, doing European Outlook for today's second video. So as always on a Thursday, we're having a look at the weather in detail for the next week to 10 days for Europe, and I shall get on with that for you very shortly. Just say that the first video release is our 7 AM upload. We've got a 10 to 14 day with all of the regular features coming up later on this afternoon. So please like, share, subscribe on all of the videos. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. Right, we're going to start off with the situation across Europe today. So here we go then. Thursday the 4th of November. We've got an area of high pressure out in the Atlantic that's pulling in a cold northerly wind across the western side of Europe. We've also got an area of low pressure somewhere between Germany and Poland, and on the eastern side of that low we're drawing up a much warmer southerly wind at the eastern side of Europe. We can see it's very nicely with the upper air temperatures, so it's a surge of warmth from North Africa through the southeastern part of the Mediterranean and then pushing northwards up the eastern side of Europe. Of course, further north that warmth goes, it does get moderated, but very mild conditions pushed up western side of Europe, up the east side of Europe. Conversely, in the west of Europe, we've got a pool of colder air that's pushed in from the north, and that's sitting across many parts of Scandinavia, Ireland, UK, France, Germany, the Low Countries, for example. Into the Mediterranean, it's hottest over on the east side of the Med and coolest on the western side of the Med. Precipitation wise, that's how we're looking. So we've got that big area of low pressure around Germany and Poland. That's where we've got some very wet weather indeed, some really heavy rain through there. There are also heavy showers and thunderstorms breaking out in this southeastern side of Europe, where we've got that warmth pushing up from the south. And then in the north and west, it's really quite showery. And as we go northwards, of course, those showers turn readily to snow across central and northern parts of Scandinavia. Into Mediterranean, there's quite a bit of dry weather, but there are some heavy showers and thunderstorms that are going to break out through the central bowl of them. Temperature-wise, it's warmest in the east and the southeast. Here we're into the upper teens Celsius in some areas, leading to the low 20s through the eastern part of the Med, but coldest to the north and the west, and really quite chilly and below average for many northern and western parts of Europe today. Tomorrow, Friday, we'll see that high pressure slipping south a little bit, starting to allow some slightly milder air to begin to push into west and northwest Europe from off the Atlantic. This area of low pressure, though, will keep it quite cold and unsettled across northern parts of Scandinavia. And we probably start to see some of that warmth draining away from the east and southeast Europe as low pressure trough begins to start pushing through. The warmth is getting shunted more towards the Black Sea, you'll notice, and down in towards Greece and Turkey as well. Some of these east parts of Europe begin to get a little bit cooler as we get through to tomorrow. Conversely, though, Ireland and the UK begins to get a little bit less cold, a little bit milder through there, looking quite chilly over Scandinavia. And many western parts of Europe, Germany, Belgium, Holland, Netherlands, France, looking quite cool, it has to be said. Precipitation-wise, so driest in this east and southeast part of Europe where we've got that warmth. Then we've got this band of heavy showers and thunderstorms through the central part of the Med, Italy, over the Adriatic, into Balkans. So that's marking boundary between the cooler, colder weather to the north and west and the warmth that's being pushed further and further eastwards. Back further west still, there's some showers across the rest parts of Europe, and then we have longer spells of rain, sleet and snow as we move northwards in towards Scandinavia. Temperature-wise, the warmest temperatures are again in this far eastern part of Europe, between around Ukraine over towards Black Sea, and it gets progressively colder or cooler the further north and west you happen to go. Into Saturday, a deepening area of low pressure will start to move in towards Scotland. That will affect Scandinavia later on in the weekend. At the same time, we've got the reach from the Azores High building through the central and western parts of Europe, and the heat is just about hanging on to that far eastern, southeastern part of Europe. There's the upper air temperature showing that the heat is being squashed into this extreme southeastern part of the Mediterranean, but still affecting large parts of Greece and Turkey. Cooler or colder further north and west you happen to go, although western parts of Europe are getting milder with this area of low pressure to the north of Scotland. Scandinavia again standing out as being really quite cold. Precipitation wise, we've got outbreaks of rain pushing through Ireland and northern parts of Britain as well. That will start to bring some wet weather in towards Norway as well by the end of Saturday. Further northwards, we've got wintry showers, snow showers probable across central and north parts of Scandinavia. And into the northeast Europe, there's some shells breaking out through there. But there's a swathe of largely dry weather, really, through many of these central, western to eastern parts of Europe. So anywhere from like Spain, Portugal, all the way to Ukraine, looking pretty dry. Let's come further south, because there will be more heavy showers and thunderstorms breaking out through the Balkans and back into Italy and again into central bowl of the Mediterranean on Saturday. Temperature-wise, the heat is just draining away from the eastern part of the Mediterranean, but still looking pretty warm through there. Otherwise, it's a cool scene, though. Excuse me, across many parts of Europe, and especially across Scandinavia, where again, it does look quite cold. Central northern parts of Scandinavia, sub-zero temperature there, and even down to like southern parts of Norway actually looks quite cold on Saturday. Further west, it's a little bit cooler actually again for Ireland and also for UK, ample parts of France too. Into the Med, quite a cool scene really for the central and western part of the Mediterranean, for warmth is in the eastern part of the Med. On into Sunday, that area of low pressure will transfer in towards southern parts of Scandinavia, affecting southern Norway and Sweden. That will take rain, sleet and snow with it. Cold air digging in on the northern side of that low into central northern parts of Scandinavia. We'll see winter really starting to dig in through there. Across Western Europe, we've got this ridge of high pressure from the Azores that's building into the western part of Europe again, and the ridge with the heat just about hanging on by its fingertips in that eastern part of the Mediterranean. There's the upper air temperature shown again, but from Italy towards Greece and Turkey, looking pretty warm, if not quite hot through there. Otherwise, it's a very cool scene, particularly across Scandinavia. Cold air digging in will turn rain readily to sleet or snow with that area of low pressure across some parts of Scandinavia, and then out into the west of Europe. Looks reasonably warm through Spain and Portugal, in towards western France, but island of the UK actually looking quite cool on Sunday. So showers long spells of rain through northern parts of Europe, and they'll turn to snow as they engage with that cold air over Scandinavia, so like parts of Norway and Sweden, over towards Finland as well, perhaps later on. And maybe even some of the northeastern countries like Latvia and Estonia, there might start to be, might start to get a little bit of snow digging in with this area of low pressure. Rain, sleet and snow, wintry mix probably in that northeastern corner. Further showers and thunderstorms through the central bowl of Med. Otherwise, a lot of dry weather in most parts of Europe, though, on Sunday. It looks quite cold in the north. Again, Scandinavia standing out, being quite cold. That cold air progressing in towards Finland as well, and probably into these northeastern countries too. The warmest temperatures are in the eastern, southeastern part of Europe. Moving through to Monday, so that area of low pressure then moves over towards the western side of Russia. Again, in its wake, it does pull down these cold northerly winds. So northeastern Europe, you see winter biting a little bit there. Further westwards, high pressure regime from the Azores will start to drag milder air in towards the western side of Europe. There's an area of low pressure developing through the central bowl of the Mediterranean. Upper air temperatures look very warm, if not quite hot, in the extreme southeastern part of Europe. But look how cold it is in the north, across Scandinavia. That cold air is digging in towards the northeast with time as well. At the same time, Western Europe, though, is beginning to go milder with west or southwesterly winds. That area of low pressure in central part of the Med brings heavy rain and thunderstorms through those central parts of the Med, so they can affect the Balearic Islands over towards Corsica and Sardinia as well. Some big showers of thunderstorms possible there. Outbreaks of rain, sleet and snow gradually moving from northeastern Europe in towards the west of Russia, and then outbreaks of rain returning towards Ireland and Scotland. Otherwise, there's a lot of dry weather around again through many parts of Europe on Monday. It is cold though, particularly across northern Europe, becoming colder. Winter really digging in there across Scandinavia, and again into Finland, and then down into these northeastern countries like Estonia and Latvia. We could well start to see temperatures really taking quite a plummet, I think, as we get to the beginning of next week. At the same time, getting a little bit milder across the western side of Europe, and those cooler temperatures are progressing further eastwards very, very gradually. On Tuesday, high pressure will be ridging through many central western parts of Europe. Low pressure to north of Scotland will start to bring perhaps a little bit less cold air in towards parts of Norway, for example. And we still have this area of low pressure down here in the central bowl of the Mediterranean. Our red temperatures show the coldest temperatures in the far north and northeastern of Europe into west of Russia. Meanwhile, further west, so it is getting a little bit milder through there. And the real warmth and heat in the southeast of Europe and Mediterranean just beginning to slip slip away a little bit. Look how wet it is through central part of the Med on Tuesday. So, like, almost getting towards the southern shores of France, Côte d'Azur, all the way down to North Africa, through the Mediterranean Sea. Heavy showers, thunderstorms, probably gale force winds anywhere from eastern parts of Spain right way over to the western coast of Italy. It's a band of snow, probably pushing through Russia down in towards the far eastern part of Europe, in towards the northern shores of the Black Sea. Of course, rain further southwards. Then there's a swathe of dry weather and about ridge of high pressure before we run into more outbreaks of rain, which will turn to sleet and snow over Scandinavia in the west and the northwest of Europe. Temperature-wise, going milder in the western part of Europe, colder through the central and east areas, and particularly in the north and in the northeast as well. Wednesday, we'll find things becoming rather flat and westerly, so a large area of high pressure ridging through the central and western parts of Europe over towards the east of Europe. To the north of that, wet and windy with low pressure in of the Atlantic, bringing rain, sleet and snow in towards Scandinavia. To the south of that area of high pressure, low pressure is still through the Mediterranean. Generally milder, I think, by the middle of next week. The cold air across Scandinavia receding further and further northeastward, so becoming milder over Scandinavia, and across many western and central parts of Europe actually looking quite mild, it must be said. Precipitation-wise, again, we're going to have rain, sleet and snow over Scandinavia, probably turning more towards rain across some parts of Scandinavia, snow in northern areas. Some snow possible in these northeastern parts of Europe and again into the far west of Russia. Heavy showers and thunderstorms through the Mediterranean once more. Really unsettled week coming up next week through the Med. And then again, under that area of high pressure is a large swathe of dry weather from much of Spain and Portugal away from the east, all the way over towards Ukraine and the Black Sea. Temperature-wise, it's coldest across the far north and northeast of Europe. Pretty cool across many central and, central parts of Europe from Ukraine back to Ireland. A little bit on the cool side. Further southwards, it is relatively mild or warm, though. And then go through into Tuesday. Again, high pressure is dominating across the west of Europe. Colder air looks like it's beginning to dig back in Scandinavia with this area of low pressure once more. Upper air temperature beginning to get a little bit colder again, perhaps across northern and western parts of Scandinavia. But the ridge keeps many parts of Europe actually mainly warm, mild, and about areas of high pressure. Precipitation-wise, weather showers, long spells, rain, sleet, snow across Scandinavia. Wet weather into western parts of Scotland. Otherwise, high pressure brings loads of dry weather to any parts of Europe, and then we get down into Med, and there'll be more heavy showers and thunderstorms. Temperature-wise, coldest in the north, warmest in the south. In between will be somewhere somewhere in between, I suppose. So they're running up to day 10. Let's have a look on Friday. Lots of high pressure domination going on through many parts of Europe, but will be more unsettled in the far north and across southern parts of Europe in the Med as well. That's Saturday, 13th of November. The ridge is just beginning to weaken a little bit. Low pressure digging in through Scandinavia, bringing colder air and increased risk of snow through there. And we still have low pressure through the Med, but probably brings further heavy showers and thunderstorms. And then we get through into Sunday, 14th of November, day 10, and cold air digs in across the north and the northeast of Europe and into western Russia with that area of low pressure. It probably is a bit of a snowmaker. High pressure then ridging through many central, northern, west parts of Europe, brings on a dry weather, and down in there, probably still quite showery, actually. Right, so that's European Outlook for this week. It all looks pretty much on course of what you'd expect, really, for the first half of November. Nothing particularly, out of the ordinary going on after a really warm sort of autumn so far across many parts of Europe, especially Western Europe in September and October. I think it's looking a lot more typical, of a classic, a classic sort of latter part of the autumn, especially for northeastern parts of Europe, where we're actually moving now into winter. Winter starts much earlier, of course, across the far north of Europe. So there, very classically winter coming and going. Rest of Europe, like very typical for the time of year, for late autumn, and down in the Med, some really wet weather there, as you would expect at this point of the year. Right, so that's European Outlook done. We should be back later on with your 10 to 14 day. That's going to include all of the regular features, so make sure you check that out later on today. But for the European Outlook this week, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.